My name's Helen, I'm 29 years old, and the night my own father told me to move out so my sister could have space, something inside me broke. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "You can take the guest room, or move out." My sister smiled and added, "You don't mind, right?" I packed my bags that same night. But 3 days later, they found out the truth. I'd been paying for everything. Before I continue, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. You know what's funny? Not haha funny, but that sick, twisted kind of funny that makes your stomach turn. It's how easily you can become invisible in your own life. How you can give and give and give until there's nothing left of you, and the people you're giving to don't even notice you're there. They just see what you provide. The money. The stability. The safety net that never seems to break no matter how hard they fall into it. That's what I became. A safety net. Not a daughter. Not a sister. Just a thing that caught other people when they stumbled. I'm an accountant. I live in Illinois. Well, I lived in Illinois in my father's house. Our house, technically, though nobody seemed to remember that part. I've been working in accounting for 7 years now, ever since I graduated college. It's not glamorous work, but it's steady. Reliable. Kind of like me, I guess. The dependable one. The one who shows up, does what needs to be done, and never complains. My mom died 5 years ago. Cancer. It ate through her in 8 months, and by the time she was gone, it felt like it had eaten through all of us too. Dad just shut down. He'd sit in his recliner for hours, staring at nothing. Sometimes I'd come home from work and find him in the exact same position I'd left him in that morning. Same clothes. Same blank expression. Like someone had paused him and forgotten to press play again. Rachel, my sister, she handled it differently. She ran. Not physically at first, though that came later. But emotionally? She was gone before Mom's body was even cold. She'd show up for the funeral looking perfect, crying at all the right moments, accepting condolences like she was the star of some tragic play. Then she'd disappear for weeks. Months sometimes. Living her life, chasing her dreams, being young and free while I was at home trying to figure out how to keep Dad from drowning in his own grief. I told myself I was helping Dad heal. That's what I said every time I transferred money for the mortgage. Every time I paid the water bill, the electricity, the gas. Every time I bought groceries and cooked meals he barely touched. I was helping him heal. But somewhere along the line, I stopped living my own life. It happened so gradually I didn't even notice. One day I was a 24-year-old woman with friends and plans and possibilities, and the next I was 29, coming home every night to a dark house and a father who barely acknowledged my existence. My friends stopped calling after I canceled plans for the 100th time. The guy I'd been seeing gave up when I kept choosing family dinner over date night. Not that there were real family dinners anymore. Just me eating leftovers while Dad watched TV and pretended he wasn't slowly dying inside. I became a ghost in my own life. And the worst part? I accepted it. I told myself it was temporary. Just until Dad got back on his feet. Just until things normalized. Just until. 5 years of just until. I paid for everything. Everything. The mortgage payment every month, $1,500. The property taxes, another $3,000 twice a year. Insurance. Utilities. Internet that Dad used to watch the same 3 shows on repeat. His car insurance because he hadn't worked in 4 years and his pension barely covered his personal expenses. Groceries. Repairs when things broke. The new water heater last winter. The roof patch after that bad storm. I kept a spreadsheet. Because that's what accountants do, right? We track everything. Income in one column, expenses in another. And there, in ugly black and white, was the truth. I'd been hemorrhaging money into this house for years. Into a life that wasn't even really mine anymore. Into a family that had stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as a resource. My coworkers would talk about their vacations, their new cars, their savings accounts growing fat with compound interest. And I'd smile and nod and pretend I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck despite making a decent salary. Pretend I wasn't 29 years old with nothing to show for my 20s except mortgage receipts and a father who couldn't remember the last time he said thank you. But I stayed. Because that's what good daughters do, right? They sacrifice. They endure. They swallow their own needs and wants and dreams because family comes first. Family always comes first. Even when family doesn't put you first. Even when family forgets you exist until they need something. I should have seen it coming. The call from Rachel. I should have known the second her name lit up my phone screen that something was about to shatter what little stability I'd managed to build. Rachel only called when she wanted something. Helen. Her voice was bright, cheerful, like we talked every day instead of once every few months. How are you? How's Dad? My stomach clenched. Dad's fine. Same as always. What's going on, Rachel? There was a pause. A breath. And then, so, I need to talk to you about something. Don't freak out, okay? It's not a big deal, but I've had some bad luck lately, and I need to come home for a little while. Bad luck. That's what she called it. Not poor decisions. Not consequences. Bad luck. What kind of bad luck? I asked, already knowing I wasn't going to like the answer. I lost my job. Budget cuts. Totally not my fault. And my roommate is being a nightmare about the rent, so I can't stay at my apartment anymore. But it's temporary. Just a few months until I get back on my feet. I already talked to Dad and he said it's totally fine. He's excited to have me home. She'd already talked to Dad. Already made plans. Already decided that my life, my space, my home was going to be disrupted, and she was calling to inform me, not ask me. Rachel, there's not a lot of room here. Oh, come on, Helen. It's a 3-bedroom house. There's plenty of space. Besides, we're family. Family helps family, right? That's what Mom would have wanted. There it was. The mom card. The trump card that shut down any argument before it could even start. I wanted to say no. God, I wanted to say no so badly. But the words stuck in my throat, trapped behind years of conditioning that told me my needs didn't matter as much as everyone else's. Fine, I heard myself say. But just for a few months. You're the best, Helen. I knew I could count on you. I'll see you this weekend. She hung up before I could respond. Before I could set boundaries or establish rules or protect myself in any way. Dad was in his usual spot when I went to talk to him. Recliner. TV. Vacant expression. Dad, Rachel called me. She said she's moving in. He didn't look away from the TV. Yep. She needs help. Family helps family. For how long? As long as she needs. My chest tightened. Dad, this is my home too. Don't I get a say in this? Finally, he looked at me. Really looked at me. And there was nothing in his eyes. No warmth. No recognition of everything I'd sacrificed. Just mild annoyance that I was questioning him. It's my house, Helen. Rachel is struggling and she needs her family. End of discussion. His house. His house. Not our house. Not the house I'd been paying for. Not the house I'd kept from foreclosure with my salary. His house. I went to my room and cried for the first time in months. Deep, ugly sobs that I muffled with my pillow so Dad wouldn't hear. Rachel arrived that Saturday with a U-Haul full of stuff and an attitude that made my teeth clench. She swept into the house like a conquering queen returning to her kingdom, hugging Dad and squealing about how good it was to be home. She didn't hug me. Didn't even really acknowledge me beyond a quick, "Hey, Helen," before she was directing the moving guys to take boxes to her room. Her room. My old room. The room I'd given up when I moved into what was technically the master bedroom after Mom died because Dad couldn't bear to sleep in there anymore. That first week was tense. Rachel treated the house like a hotel. Dishes piled up in the sink, her dishes, not mine. She used all the hot water every morning with her hour-long showers. She ate the groceries I bought without offering to contribute. She stayed up late watching movies at full volume, then slept until noon, then complained she was bored. Dad loved it. He was more animated than I'd seen him in years, laughing at Rachel's stories about the city, asking her about her plans, actually engaging with another human being. It was like her presence had flipped a switch in him that I'd been desperately trying to find for 5 years. And me? I was furniture. Background noise. The person who paid for the food they ate and the roof over their heads, but didn't warrant a conversation or a thank you. I came home from work one evening, exhausted from a brutal day of tax audits and difficult clients, and found them having dinner together in the dining room. Actually sitting at the table like a real family. They didn't hear me come in. I stood in the doorway, my bag heavy on my shoulder, and listened. "It's so good to have you home, sweetheart," Dad was saying. "House feels alive again." "I'm glad to be here," Rachel replied. Though I'll admit, it's a little weird having to share space with Helen. I mean, I'm grateful obviously, but I forgot how small my old room was. Not like my apartment in the city. Well, it's temporary, right? Just until you get back on your feet. Yeah, but still. I'm 27 years old. It's weird being back in my childhood bedroom, you know? I need space to feel like an adult. There was a pause. A long pause that made my skin prickle with premonition. "Helen has the master bedroom," Dad said slowly. "Right, I know. Mom's old room. It's the biggest room. Best closet. You'd have more space there." My blood turned to ice. "Dad, I can't ask Helen to give up her room. That would be so rude." But she didn't sound like she thought it was rude. She sounded hopeful. "Testing the waters. Why not? You need it more. You're going through a transition. Helen's stable. She's got a job, a routine. She doesn't need as much space." Where would she go? The guest room. It's small but functional. Or she could move out. She's 29. Most people her age don't live with their parents anyway. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. All the air left my lungs in a single, painful rush. The bag slipped from my shoulder and hit the floor with a soft thud, and suddenly both of them were staring at me from the dining room. "Helen." Rachel's face flushed. "We didn't hear you come in." "Apparently not," I said, and my voice was steady even though my hands were shaking. "What were you saying about my room?" Dad had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable, but only slightly. "We were just talking. Rachel needs more space." "So you want me to give up my room? The master bedroom? The room I've been sleeping in for 5 years. "It's not a big deal," Rachel said quickly. "The guest room is cute. Cozy. You'd probably like it better anyway. The guest room is 10 by 10 with a twin bed. So, you don't need much space. You're barely here anyway, always working." I stared at her. At this woman who looked like my sister but apparently didn't know me at all. "Helen," Dad said, and his voice had that tone. That be reasonable tone. "It's just a room. Rachel is going through a hard time right now. She needs support. She needs to feel comfortable while she figures things out. And I don't." My voice cracked. "I don't need to feel comfortable? In the home I've been paying for?" Dad's expression hardened. "This is my house, Helen. I'm letting you live here. Letting me." The laugh that escaped me was sharp and bitter. "Letting me live here?" "Yes. And I'm also letting Rachel live here because she's family and she needs help. If you have a problem with that, if you can't be flexible and supportive, then maybe you should consider other living arrangements." The room spun. Everything I thought I knew, everything I thought we were, crashed down around me in that single moment. "You're giving me an ultimatum?" I whispered. "You're actually telling me to give up my room or move out?" "I'm telling you to be an adult and a good sister. Rachel needs that room. You can take the guest room, or you can find your own place. Your choice." Rachel had the grace to look away, but she didn't defend me. She just sat there, silent, waiting to see if she'd get what she wanted. "You don't mind, right?" she said softly, finally looking at me with these big, innocent eyes. That's when I realized he didn't see me as family anymore. Just a placeholder paying his bills. I moved my stuff to the guest room that night. I lay on that twin bed too short for my frame, my feet hanging off the end, and stared at the ceiling and wondered how my life had become this. Rachel wasted no time making her room exactly what she wanted. Within days she'd redecorated, buying new curtains, new bedding, new throw pillows. She hired someone to paint the walls a trendy sage green. She got a new desk, a new chair, plants for the windowsill. And she charged it all to my credit card. I found out when I checked my bank account and saw $700 in charges I didn't recognize. When I confronted her, she looked genuinely confused. "Oh, I used the card that was in the kitchen drawer. I thought it was the household card." "Rachel, that's my card." My personal credit card. Oh, well, can't you just expense it or something? It's for the house. It's for your room. That I used to sleep in. That you guilt-tripped me into giving up. I didn't guilt-trip anyone, Helen. Don't be dramatic. Rachel didn't look for a job. She said she was taking time to figure out what she really wanted to do. She spent her days sleeping in, binging Netflix, and meeting up with old friends for lunch she couldn't pay for. One night, about 3 weeks after Rachel moved in, I came home late and heard Dad and Rachel talking in low, conspiratorial voices. I should have gone straight to my shoebox room. But something made me stop in the dark hallway and listen. She's not going to like it, Rachel was saying. She'll understand, Dad replied. She's always been reasonable. But an extra $200 a month? That's a lot. My heart stopped. It's fair, Dad continued. She's got the guest room now, which is smaller, so her rent should be less. But you need more space, so you should pay more. Except you can't afford to pay anything right now, so Helen's portion should go up to cover the difference until you're working again. Rent. He was charging me rent. Charging me more rent to subsidize Rachel living here for free. I was paying the mortgage. The full mortgage. $1,500 a month every month for 5 years. And now he wanted to charge me rent on top of that to help Rachel get back on her feet. How much are you thinking for Helen? Rachel asked. Well, she was paying $300 before. $300. He thought I was paying $300 a month. So $500 seems fair. Maybe $6, given that we'll need to cover more groceries now that you're here. $600. He wanted to charge me $600 a month in rent, while I paid the $1,500 mortgage he didn't know about. I walked to the kitchen in a daze. The mail was on the counter. Dad never looked at the mail anymore. That was another thing I handled. But tonight he'd brought in the mail and left it unopened. I sorted through it mechanically. Electric bill in my name. Water bill in my name. Property tax statement in my name. And underneath all of it, a letter from the county clerk's office regarding property records. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely open it. But when I did, when I read the words on that official piece of paper, something shifted inside me. The house deed. Updated after Mom's death. It listed my mother's name, crossed out, deceased, and my name as beneficiary and co-owner. Not Dad's name. Mine. My mother had left the house to me, not him. The house was in my name. It hit me like a freight train. This house wasn't Dad's to give away. It was my mother's last gift to me. I stood in that kitchen, surrounded by bills with my name on them, holding proof that I owned the home I'd been treated like a guest in, and something inside me finally broke free. Not broke down. Broke free. I didn't cry. For the first time in weeks, months, maybe years, I didn't cry. I planned. I called in sick the next day. First sick day I'd taken in 3 years. I spent that morning in a coffee shop with my laptop and my phone and a determination I hadn't felt in years. First, I called my friend Melissa. We'd gone to college together. She was a lawyer now, working at a small firm that handled family law and estate issues. Helen. She sounded surprised. Is everything okay? I need help, I said, and my voice was steady. Calm. Legal help. I told her everything. The mortgage payments, the bills, the house deed, Rachel moving in, the ultimatum, the rent they wanted to charge me. I laid it all out like the spreadsheet it had become in my mind. Melissa was quiet for a long moment after I finished. Helen, she finally said, and her voice was tight with anger, they've been financially abusing you. You know that, right? The words hit me hard. Financial abuse. I need to know what my options are, I said. Well, if the house is in your name, which it sounds like it is, you have several options. You could evict them. You could sell the house. You could transfer all the bills to your father and leave. Or you could stay and start charging them fair market rent. I don't want to evict them. And I don't want to sell Mom's house. Then your best option is a clean break. Transfer everything to your father, utilities, mortgage responsibility, all of it, and move out. Let him figure out how to pay for the house he thought he owned. Can I do that? Just leave. Honey, it's your house. You can do whatever you want. The question is whether you're ready to do it. Was I ready? I thought about the guest room with its twin bed and stacked boxes. About Rachel redecorating my old room with my money. About Dad telling me to pay more rent in a house I was already paying for. About 5 years of invisibility and sacrifice and silence. I'm ready, I said. That afternoon, I opened my banking app and really looked at the numbers for the first time in years. $83,000. That's how much I'd paid into the mortgage over 6 years. Plus another $30,000 or so in utilities, groceries, repairs, and Dad's personal expenses. $113,000. That's what my family had cost me. I could have had a down payment on my own house. Could have traveled. Could have had savings, investments, a retirement account. Could have had a life. I opened my laptop and started looking at apartments. I found one within an hour. A small but bright apartment in a complex 20 minutes from my office. Newly renovated. Dishwasher. Balcony. Parking space. Available immediately. I filled out the application right there. The landlord called me back within 2 hours. I was approved. I could move in this weekend. I'll take it, I said. That night, I went back to Dad's house with a plan and a timeline and a strength I didn't know I had. They were in the living room, watching TV like nothing had changed. Helen, Rachel said brightly. You're home early. Are you feeling better? Much better, actually. I smiled at her. A real smile. I have some news. Oh. Dad glanced at me, mildly interested. I'm moving out. This weekend. Silence. Complete, shocked silence. What? Rachel sat up straight. You're moving out? Why? I found an apartment. It's perfect for me. Closer to work. Good space. Fresh start. But... Rachel looked at Dad, then back at me. You can't just leave. What about Dad? What about him? He needs you. We need you. For what? To pay your bills? To give up my room? To finance your unemployment? Her face flushed. That's not fair. You're absolutely right. It's not fair. None of this is fair. But it's about to get a whole lot more fair. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Turned it toward them so they could see the mortgage payment history. Every $1,500 transaction for the past 6 years. What is this? Dad asked, squinting at the screen. The mortgage payments. That I've been making. Every month. For 6 years. Rachel's face went pale. Wait, what? You've been paying the mortgage? Yes. The whole mortgage? Yes. But Dad said. Dad didn't know. Dad hasn't looked at a bill in 5 years. Dad thought I was paying $300 a month in rent like a good little tenant in the house that's actually an MY name. I watched the information sink in. Watched Rachel's expression go from confused to horrified. Watched Dad's face go from shocked to embarrassed to defensive. I thought, Dad stammered. You didn't think at all, I said, and my voice was quiet but harder than I'd ever heard it. You let me pay for everything. You let me sacrifice my entire 20s keeping this house afloat while you wallowed in grief and Rachel found herself. And then, when she needed space, you told me to give up my room or move out. Like I was nothing. Like I didn't matter. Helen, Rachel started. No. I'm done. I'm moving out this weekend. And when I leave, all the bills come with me. The mortgage. The utilities. Everything that's in my name gets transferred to Dad. You wanted it to be your house? Congratulations. Now you get to pay for it. Dad's face went white. Helen, you can't do that. I can't afford. That's not my problem anymore. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady. You told me this was your house. You told me to take the guest room or leave. So I'm leaving. And you're going to learn exactly what this house costs. But where will we, how will we? Rachel looked panicked now. You'll figure it out. You're resourceful. You'll get a job. Dad can dip into his pension. You can downsize. You can sell. I really don't care what you do because it's not my responsibility anymore. I stood up, feeling lighter than I had in years. I'll be gone by Sunday. Good luck. I walked to my tiny room, closed the door, and for the first time in 5 years, I felt like I could breathe. Moving out was easier than I expected. I didn't have much. My clothes fit in 3 suitcases. My books in 4 boxes. My personal items in 2 bags. Everything I owned fit in my car in a single trip. I chose Sunday morning to leave. Dad and Rachel went to church, and the moment their car pulled out of the driveway, I started loading up. The apartment was empty, clean, full of light. Hardwood floors, white walls, a kitchen with actual counter space, a bathroom that was mine, only mine. I stood in the middle of the living room and just breathed. In and out. Simple. Clean. Free. Then I sat on the floor with my laptop and systematically destroyed the life I'd been living. Transfer utilities. I called the electric company, the gas company, the water company. Changed every account from my name to my father's name. Joint bank account. I withdrew every penny I deposited and closed the account completely. Mortgage. I called the mortgage company and explained that the primary resident of the property would need to take over payments. I drafted an official letter right there and emailed it. Then I texted Melissa, "It's done. I'm out." She replied immediately, "Proud of you. Now block their numbers and live your life." I didn't block them. Not yet. I wanted to see what happened next. The call came at 6 p.m. Dad's number. I let it ring 4 times before answering. "Helen." His voice was tight, angry. "What did you do?" "I moved out. Like you suggested. The power company called me. They said you transferred the account to my name." "That's correct." "Helen, I can't afford the utilities. My pension." "Is your problem, Dad? Not mine. This is ridiculous. You can't just abandon your family." I laughed. Actually laughed. "I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. You said it was your house, remember? You told me to move out. So I did. And since it's your house, you get to pay for it." "That's not what I meant, and you know it." "What did you mean, Dad?" "You meant I should keep paying for everything while being treated like garbage." Silence. Heavy, guilty silence. "You knew about the rent plan?" "I heard you planning it. I heard everything. I heard you tell Rachel that I was paying $300 a month when I've been paying over $2,000. I heard you decide to squeeze more money out of me to subsidize her. And that's when I realized you don't see me as your daughter. You see me as a bank account." "Helen, that's not." "Yes, you did. You absolutely meant it. And now you get to live with the consequences." "But the mortgage," his voice cracked. "Helen, the mortgage payment is due in 5 days. I don't have that kind of money. Figure it out." "I can't. I need you to." "No." The word came out hard, final. "I'm not your solution anymore. I'm not your safety net. I'm not responsible for fixing the mess you made by taking me for granted." "What am I supposed to do?" "You have options, Dad. You can get a job. Rachel can get a job and actually contribute. You can take out a loan. You can downsize. You can sell the house. Those are all reasonable options that don't involve exploiting me. This house was your mother's. This house is mine." My voice rose. "Mom left it to me, not you. I own this house, Dad. And for 5 years, I paid every single bill while you sat in your recliner feeling sorry for yourself. I gave you everything I had and you didn't even notice I existed until I stopped giving." I could hear him breathing on the other end. Ragged, shocked breaths. "I'll send you documentation of every payment I've made. Every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every expense. You'll see exactly what I've been carrying. And then you'll understand why I'm done." "Helen." "I have to go." I hung up, blocked his number. Then I sat on my empty floor and waited to feel guilty. But the guilt never came. Rachel called 3 hours later, screaming. "What the hell is wrong with you? Dad is having a panic attack because of you." "Hello, Rachel. How are you this evening?" "Don't. He can't breathe. He's talking about losing the house." "How could you do this to him?" "How could I do what?" "Move out? You told me I didn't mind, remember? You know what I mean. The bills. The mortgage. You just dumped everything on him." "I didn't dump anything. I stopped paying for a house I don't live in anymore. That's a pretty normal thing to do. But you didn't tell us. You didn't warn us that you were paying for everything. I assumed he knew what his own house cost. My mistake. This is insane, Helen. Dad can't afford this. Then maybe you should get a job and help him." "I'm looking for a job. It takes time. You've been looking for 3 months. Maybe try looking harder." "Whatever. The point is, you can't just abandon us like this. We're your family." "Rachel," I said, and my voice was so calm it scared even me. Let me explain something to you. For 5 years, I have paid for everything. Everything. The mortgage, $1,500 a month. Property taxes, $6,000 a year. Insurance, $1,800 a year. Utilities, about $400 a month. Dad's car insurance, another $1,200 a year. I've spent over $100,000 keeping that house running. Silence. And in those 5 years, how many times did you visit? How many times did you help with anything? How many times did you acknowledge that I'd given up my entire life to hold this family together? More silence. I'll answer for you, never. You never visited unless you needed something. You never called unless you wanted money. You never helped because you were too busy finding yourself. That's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. But I'm done being the one who suffers so everyone else can be comfortable. I'm done setting myself on fire to keep you warm. So, what are we supposed to do? You're supposed to grow up. Get a job. Pay your bills. Take care of your father since you care so much. Figure out what being an adult actually means. But the mortgage is due in 5 days. Better start making some calls. I hung up. Blocked her number too. Then I ordered pizza, opened a bottle of wine, and ate dinner sitting on my empty floor watching the sunset through my balcony window. And I felt nothing but peace. The next few days were a blur of frantic calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't answer any of them, but I did listen to the voicemails. The first was from Dad, his voice shaking. "Helen, please. I know you're angry, but we need to talk about this. I went to the bank today, and they showed me the mortgage history and I didn't know. But sweetheart, I can't afford to take this over. Please call me back." Delete. The next was Rachel, crying. "Helen, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I took your room. I'm sorry I didn't realize how much you were doing. But you can't just leave us like this. Dad is talking about selling the house. Mom's house, Helen. You can't let that happen. Please." Delete. More calls. More voicemails. Each one more desperate than the last. An aunt. "Abandoning your father like this is cruel." A cousin. "Family is supposed to stick together." Even one of Rachel's friends. "Maybe think about someone other than yourself for once." That last one made me laugh. Think about someone other than myself? That's all I'd done for 5 years. I deleted them all and went to work. My coworkers noticed immediately that something was different. I'd always been competent but withdrawn. Now I laughed during lunch breaks. Accepted invitations to happy hour. Stayed late to help colleagues, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Because I finally had the energy. "Helen, you seem lighter," my boss remarked one afternoon. "Everything's perfect," I told her. I moved out of my dad's place. Fresh start. Good for you. How does it feel? Like I can finally breathe. That Friday, my boss called me into her office. "Helen, I've been tracking your work and I think we need to have a conversation." My stomach dropped. Was I getting fired? "I'm promoting you," she said, to senior accountant. 20% raise, better benefits, your own office. You've been doing senior level work for 2 years without the title. But watching you this past week, your confidence, your initiative, I realized we've been underutilizing you. 20% raise. My own office. Recognition. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. Yes. Absolutely yes. I celebrated by actually furnishing my apartment. I bought a rail bed. A couch. A kitchen table. Curtains. Plants. Art for the walls. Every purchase felt like freedom. And I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little bit. 2 weeks later, there was a knock on my door at 8 p.m. I looked through the peephole and saw my father, looking smaller and older than I remembered. I almost didn't open it. But something made me unlock the deadbolt. "Helen." He looked shocked. "You look different." "I'm doing well." "What do you want, Dad? Can I come in?" "No. We can talk here." His face fell. I went to the bank. Had to take out a loan to cover the mortgage. 15% interest because my credit isn't great and you haven't been paying the mortgage, so you have no payment history. Yes, that's how loans work. I can't afford this. The payment plus the loan, it's almost $3,000 a month. My pension is $1,200, even with Rachel's unemployment. So get a job. Rachel can get a job, rent out a room, sell the house. I gave you options. This is your mother's house. No, it's my house. Mom left it to me. And I've decided I don't want it anymore. I don't want the financial burden. I don't want the memories of being invisible and used. He stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. When did you become so cold? The question hit me like a slap. Cold. I was cold now because I wasn't letting them destroy me anymore. I'm not cold, Dad. I'm finally warm. For 5 years, I was frozen, stuck in grief and obligation, and the desperate need to keep you happy while I disappeared. And you know what? You never noticed. You never cared that I was dying inside that house, working myself into exhaustion, sacrificing everything. You only noticed when I stopped sacrificing. That's not true. It is true. You didn't even know I was paying the mortgage. Didn't know about the utilities. Didn't know about anything. You knew nothing about my life because you never asked. And when Rachel showed up and needed space, you didn't hesitate to tell me to leave. Your daughter who'd kept you afloat for 5 years, you told her to give up her room or get out. I thought you were just paying rent. You didn't think at all. My voice echoed in the hallway. You assumed. You took. You demanded. But you never once stopped to think about what any of this was costing me. Not just money. But my 20s, Dad. My entire 20s. I should have been traveling, dating, building a career, living my life. Instead, I was playing house with a father who couldn't see past his own grief. He was crying now. Actual tears running down his face. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. You hurt me every single day by not seeing me. By not valuing me. By treating me like furniture, useful but invisible. What do you want me to do? How do I fix this? You don't. This isn't something you fix. This is something you live with. These are consequences, Dad. Real consequences for taking someone for granted until they break. So you're just going to leave us to lose the house? You're not going to be homeless. You're being dramatic. You have options, you just don't like them because they require you to actually do something. To sacrifice the way I sacrificed. And the fact that you're here trying to guilt me instead of at home figuring out your plan tells me everything I need to know. You still think I'm responsible for saving you. You're my daughter. And you're my father. But that doesn't mean I owe you my entire life. That doesn't mean I have to drown so you can float. He stood there, silent, broken. I'm putting it on the market, he finally said. The realtor says we should get a good price. Enough to pay off what you paid into the mortgage. I don't want the money. What? Keep it. Use it for something you can actually afford. I don't want money, Dad. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to matter. But that ship sailed when you told me to give up my room. Helen, please. Goodbye, Dad. I stepped back into my apartment and closed the door. Locked it. Stood with my back against it and waited for the guilt. But it never came. Through the door, I heard him standing there for a long moment. Then his footsteps, slow and heavy, walking away. And I turned around, looked at my little apartment with its furniture and bare walls I was slowly filling with life, and I smiled. 1 year later, everything had changed. I made partner at the firm. Bought a townhouse with a yard and a mortgage that was mine, only mine, paid with pride instead of resentment. I started dating someone good. Someone who asked about my day and actually listened. Who cooked dinner with me and said thank you for small things and I love you like it was a gift, not an obligation. Someone who saw me. Really saw me. I had boundaries now. Real ones. And they felt like freedom. Dad and I started having dinner once a month. Neutral location, a restaurant we both liked. He paid his half. Never asked for money. Never made his problems my responsibility. Just talked like we were two adults who happened to be related. It wasn't the relationship we used to have. But it was healthier. Better. Rachel graduated nursing school. Got a job at a pediatric hospital. We had coffee sometimes now. Infrequent, but real. We talked about her patients and my clients and our childhoods before grief broke everything. We didn't talk about those 5 years much. Didn't need to. We both knew what happened. And we both knew that the women we were now, me with my boundaries and her with her accountability, were better versions than the ones who'd hurt each other. 3 years after I left, my cousin Melissa called with a question. Hey, Helen. My little sister Emma is going through a rough patch. Lost her job, having trouble with rent. She asked if she could stay with me for a few months. I wanted your advice since you went through something similar. And there it was. The test. The moment where I could either repeat old patterns or hold firm to who I'd become. Melissa, I love you. But if Emma needs help, she needs actual help. A job search strategy. A financial plan. Maybe a loan with a repayment schedule. What she doesn't need is a free place to crash with no expectations, because that's how a few months becomes a year, and how you become resentful and she becomes entitled. There was a pause. Then, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Set boundaries up front. Rent, even if it's small. A firm move-out date. Actual contributions. Don't make the mistakes I made. Don't disappear while helping someone else find themselves. How do you feel these days? About everything. Peaceful. Finally peaceful. We talked for another hour about life, about normal things between people who cared about each other without keeping score. And when we hung up, I realized I'd passed the test I'd set for myself. I'd learned to say no. To offer advice without offering myself as a sacrifice. To love people without losing myself. That night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine and looked out at the city. Lights twinkling. Life happening. The world moving forward. And I was moving forward too. Not carrying anyone. Not being carried. Just walking my own path, steady and strong and finally free. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Helen, I got accepted into the nursing program director position. Full-time management starting this fall. I keep thinking about how you did this. How you just became the person you wanted to be. Thank you for showing me it was possible. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, I'm proud of you. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Just acknowledgement that she was trying. That was enough for now. Another text came through. Dad this time. Rachel told me she texted you. I won't pile on. Just wanted to say I'm still here, still working on being better, still hoping that someday you'll let me back into your life. No pressure. Just love. I didn't respond to that one. Just set my phone down and took another sip of wine. Love. What a complicated word. What a weaponized word. What an excuse for bad behavior and justification for endless sacrifice. But also what a possibility. What a hope. Maybe someday I'd have that with my father again. Maybe someday Rachel would be my sister again instead of the woman who helped teach me I deserved better. Maybe. But not today. Today I was enough. My life was enough. My peace was enough. I looked out at my city, at the life I'd built from nothing but determination and self-respect, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not the arrogant kind. Not the selfish kind that people had accused me of when I walked away. But the quiet, solid kind. The kind that comes from knowing you saved yourself when no one else would. The kind that comes from choosing yourself when everyone said you were wrong to do it. The kind that comes from building a life that's actually yours. I thought about the girl I used to be. 24 years old, standing at her mother's grave, promising to take care of Dad. Promising to keep the family together. Promising to be strong enough for everyone. And I had been strong. Just not in the way I'd imagined. Real strength wasn't carrying everyone's burdens until you collapsed. Real strength was knowing when to put them down. Real strength was walking away from people who treated you like a resource instead of a person. Real strength was saying no and meaning it and not apologizing for it. Real strength was this, sitting on a balcony in an apartment I could afford, in a life I'd built, with a future that belonged to me and no one else. Family doesn't mean you carry everyone. Sometimes love means walking away and letting them carry their own weight. I raised my glass to the sunset, to the city, to the version of myself who'd finally learned that lesson. Here's to me, I whispered. Here's to boundaries. Here's to freedom. Here's to never setting myself on fire again just to keep someone else warm. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. And I sat there, alone but not lonely, free and finally at peace. If you've ever been the responsible one in your family, this story is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. I read every single comment.